Welcome to the Bay. So, today we're tackling a really tough decision, one that I know is on the mind of a ton of 1440p gamers out there. You've got that trusty RTX 3070, right? A card that was an absolute beast when it launched. But, let's be honest, you're starting to feel the squeeze from the latest games. Let's really dive into this upgrade dilemma. For years, the 3070 was just the undisputed king of 1440p gaming. But now, with new titles just gobbling up VRAM and really pushing ray tracing to its limits, that super smooth experience you're used to is probably hitting some turbulence. If you're starting to see stutters, or worse, you're being forced to turn down those beautiful texture settings, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, to really figure this out, we're going to break it down into a few key areas. We'll start with the big upgrade question itself, then jump straight into a raw performance showdown. After that, we'll dive into the underlying tech, because it's more than just speed. Then we'll analyze the value, the price of all that power, and finally, we'll deliver a verdict on which GPU is the right one for you. And just so you know, all the data you'll see here is sourced from our friends at bestgpusforgaming.com. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. First up, the one metric that matters most to any gamer, pure, unadulterated frame rates. This is where we're going to see just how massive this generational leap really is. And wow, the numbers really do speak for themselves. In every single one of these games, the RTX 5070 just pulls way, way ahead. And we're not talking about a few extra frames here and there. I mean, look at Warzone. You're jumping from 135 to a massive 200 FPS on average. Even in those super demanding single-player games like Starfield and Cyberpunk, the 5070 is consistently blowing past that crucial 60 FPS mark. That's a much, much smoother experience. This chart right here, this really paints the picture, especially when it comes to ray tracing. Cyberpunk 2077 with ray tracing on high is just a brutal workload for any card. You can see the 3070 is, it's holding on at 60 FPS, which is respectable. But the 5070 is just sitting there comfortably at 95. That's a 58% increase. It just goes to show you how much better the 5070's new Blackwell architecture handles these incredibly demanding modern effects. So the bottom line from this section is this. On average, you are looking at a 40 to 60% performance boost by moving from the 3070 to the 5070 at 1440p. Let me be clear, this is not just some minor refresh. This is a full-on generational leap that you are going to absolutely feel in every single game you play. Okay, so let's move on, because a GPU is so much more than just its average frame rate, right? The technology underneath, the features it supports, and especially its VRAM. That's what really determines if a card is good for today or if it's going to be a great card for years to come. And here's the top-level view. The RTX 5070, it's built on that brand new Blackwell architecture. That brings with it support for next-gen DLSS 4, and this is huge, 12 gigabytes of way faster GDDR7 VRAM. The 3070, while it's still a capable card, well, it's definitely showing its age with the older DLSS 2 tech and that increasingly restrictive 8 gigs of GDDR6. And listen, that DLSS 4 support is a massive deal. This isn't just a slightly better version of upscaling. It includes AI-powered frame generation. What this tech does is it creates entirely new frames in between the ones your GPU renders, making the game feel unbelievably smooth even when you crank up demanding features like path tracing. It's a total game changer, and it's something you can only get with the new architecture. When we talk about future-proofing, these are the things we mean. These are the key advantages for the 5070. That 12 gigs of VRAM means you're not going to have to worry about turning down texture quality for the next few years. The improved cores deliver that amazing ray tracing performance we just saw, and the whole Blackwell architecture is just designed to be more power efficient, so you get more performance without needing a monster power supply. And on the flip side, this is the 3070's Achilles heel in 2026, that VRAM bottleneck. 8 gigabytes was totally fine a few years ago, but new AAA games are just so hungry for video memory. At 1440p with high-res textures, you're already smashing past that 8 gigabyte limit, and that's what leads to stuttering and forces you to compromise on how good your game looks. That, plus no frame generation, that's where the card really shows its age. Okay, performance is one thing, but hey, we all build within a budget, right? So the next question is pretty obvious. Does that massive jump in performance actually justify the cost? Let's break down that all-important frames per dollar equation. Now this is interesting. The RTX 5070, yeah, it has a higher sticker price at around $599 compared to the 3070's launch price, But, and this is a big but, when you actually factor in those huge performance gains, the 5070 gives you more frames for every single dollar you spend. So what does that mean? It means if you're building a brand new PC today, the 5070 isn't just the more powerful card, it's technically the better value. So we've looked at performance, we've looked at the tech, and we've looked at the value. Now it's time to bring it all together and dock this ship. Look, the best graphics card? It's not a one-size-fits-all answer. It really depends on who you are and what you need from your rig.
So first up, if you currently own an RTX 3070 and you are feeling that performance pinch at 1440p, the answer is pretty clear. The RTX 5070 offers a huge, tangible jump in performance, in smoothness, and in features. Honestly, this is the upgrade you've been waiting for.
What if you're chasing those high frame rates to match your 144 or 165 Hz monitor? Well, the RTX 5070 is the obvious choice. Its ability to push well over 100 FPS in most games, combined with much stronger 1% lows, means you're getting a consistently smooth, super responsive experience, with plenty of headroom for games coming out next year.
And for those of you building a new rig from scratch, the people who want it to last, the RTX 5070 is absolutely the smart play. The newer architecture, the support for DLSS 4, and that crucial 12 gigabytes of VRAM, all of that gives it the longevity that, frankly, the 3070 just doesn't have anymore.
But hey, the RTX 3070 isn't totally out of the picture. Not at all. If you're building on a really tight budget and maybe you primarily play at 1080p, a used 3070 can still be a fantastic find. If you can snag one for a big discount, it's still a capable card. Just be very aware of its limitations in the latest and greatest titles. Now look, GPU prices are always changing, and new game benchmarks come out all the time. So for the most up-to-date info, detailed breakdowns, and live pricing, we highly recommend you check out our source for all this, bestgpusforgaming.com. So with all that said, take a look at your own setup. Is your graphics card the one component that's holding you back from the experience you really want? It's a question every builder has to ask themselves eventually. Let us know what you're thinking, and until next time, keep it cool and keep building.